Okay, here's another League of Legends post-game commentary coming your way, this time in Black Market Brawlers mode with Ashe ADC. And I've disabled the audio here because there is actually a lot I want to talk about. This video pretty much has everything I hate about this mode all wrapped up into one perfect little package. And right here, I'll get into detail in a second, but here I'm trying to arrange things. I am Ashe AD partner with Soraka bot against Ezreal and Xin. We have Lissandra mid against Kog'Maw, Cho'Gath top against an AD Janna, and Xin Zhao in the jungle against Vi. So, to begin with, I'm going to say the entire matchmaking thing for this is non-existent. They just grab 10 players that are sitting there and toss them in a game. I've had games where we've had one side that was almost entirely platinum against a team that was almost entirely bronze. And as you may have guessed, the bronze team got annihilated. And I see these skewed teams all the time. It started with the one game that had 5 level 30s, and it's just gone to hell from there. This mode needs a lot more of, I don't even know where to begin, to make it somewhat decent, and I sure as hell am glad this is not the default mode just for the crappy matchmaking alone. So the other part is, thanks to the crappy matchmaking, the players are incredibly erratic. If you actually want to win in this mode, you're going to want someone who can pretty much win on their own, some sort of lane bully, preferably mobile. I imagine LeBlanc is probably a decent pick for mid. As for the AD carry, you're probably going to want Corki, Graves, Ezreal, Severe. Even Callisto would be not too bad. And the reason for that is you can't count on your support for crap. Soraka here is going to actually be decent for a little while, and then she's just going to wander off for no reason and never come back. And that is the sole thing that costs us this entire lane. So if you look, Xin is already late. This is something that I've seen before. I don't know if it's just that this mode is hosted on lower quality servers or what, but I've seen tons of DCs just late starts because people loaded poorly, just slowly. And this entire thing is a freaking mess. So the first thing of importance is that the Xin Zhao on our side is going to basically monopolize the top lane, and from there, Cho is going to be stuck in the jungler position. As a result of this, we're going to lose pretty much every objective until he finally gets his head out of his ass, but there's nothing we can do about that. Otherwise, there are some new items that kind of change things around. I'd say the teleport boots are probably the most interesting out of them all. You can basically take Ignite when you go top lane now to be more aggressive, potentially get some kills, and then just choose for your boot enchantment and teleport, and you'll still have your global pressure. The thing is, you will have to play a little bit more careful early game, since if you get forced out of lane, you have to walk back. But on the other hand, should you manage to force your opponent out of lane, that means they have to walk back. And in which case, you get the gold advantage, the EXP advantage, and so on, which is why lane bullies can be pretty potent here. And the only nice thing about if you choose a lane bully with Ignite, there's a chance you can get first blood, like Kog'Maw just did on Lissandra. And I'm not saying Kog'Maw is a lane bully, but our Lissandra doesn't know how to play the early game. So one of the issues we will be encountering here is a Mega-Fed Cog, and I should point out, Xin has a support item. This is one of the new ones that is this mode exclusive. I'm not entirely sure what it does, but I think every minute or so you can activate the item to put a shield on an ally. That will cause them to take a little bit less damage. I think you generate gold based on the damage they receive. And I think beyond that you actually absorb the damage they take, or like 2/3 of the damage they take in their place. Which is part of the reason why he may have had a late start, because I think the item costs 500 gold. You may have noticed he had no potions or anything like that, so the reason why he was late is he had to wait for the 25 gold to generate before he can set out. As for right here, Soraka wants to tower dive for some reason, but she ditched aggro as soon as she took the first shot, which set me up to die. After this point, I pretty much don't trust her, and when she decides to just wander off, just kind of confirms what I suspected. Now, in order to better bully Ezreal and Xin, I just need some flat AD. The Vamp Scepter is nice to just keep me sustained, that way I don't have to bank on Soraka. And the other nice thing is that... do I actually have enough to hire? I don't know. I will hire a ranged minion eventually. But I grabbed the additional longsword, which is going to become the Last Whisper, just so I can get the extra 10 AD early and makes it easier to last hit. My crits will deal an additional 1 damage, I think. And it can help. If you're wondering why I don't like buying any minions early, is that I don't think they're too effective until you can actually upgrade them. You can see that the tank one did replace a melee minion, and eventually you will replace most of your minions. It's just... As for right here, I do have the range advantage to try to poke them. You can see Shin's shield up, and since I don't know how that works exactly, I'm a little hesitant to poke him while it's up, because if it generates gold, that can be a very decent item. I basically don't want to play into their hand. In the meantime, Lissandra gives up yet another kill to Cog, and right now I'm basically just in power save mode. Farm up to level 6, get the crystal arrow, and collect a kill. Now, the way this lane actually will work, if you are curious and want to run it yourself, I need to lead with the crystal arrow to get a stun. While the enemy is stunned, Soraka needs to drop Equinox under them, her E. That will silence them so that they can't flash out, and from there, we just need to keep them in place until that can snap shut and root them. Sadly, Soraka's generally max the E last, which means it's only a flat 1 second, but that's still an additional second on your stun in the first place. And if you can just keep shooting them, you're guaranteed crits, and that damage can add up. And it's weakest earliest, and as the game goes on, that combo actually gets stronger and stronger. And beyond that, just for the general team fights, I can also use my ult to set up a Cho'Gath Rupture. That's a 1-to-1 AP ratio, so we can definitely chunk someone. The other thing about the Rupture is that it will slow them, so I am pretty much guaranteed a few extra shots on them after the fact. Right there I was anticipating Xin Zhao to jump on Soraka. He anticipated my volley and turned around, so it's a little bit of wasted mana. Sadly, Ashe doesn't exactly have the largest mana pool out there, so it runs out fairly quickly. I'm trying to remember what the Ranger's focus costs. It's something like 70 or 80. That's the Q if you're not aware. My whole goal here is just keep my Q charged up, that way we could potentially get them. You can see Lissandra in the bush there. She went a tad early, and unfortunately she was slow enough to where Ezreal could arcane shift out. It's her ult down, but considering how poorly she was doing in lane and how the Xin Zhao is a very bad jungler, I can't fault her for that. Normally, since Kog'Maw is so AD carry, she wants to reserve that in lane so that she and Xin can execute it, but Xin only has eyes for the top lane. It's going to be like that for about the first 20 minutes of the game. Extremely annoying, but like I said, there's no matchmaking here. It's just 10 random people. As for right here, I sure as hell am not going to tower dive with Soraka again. Right here we got to chunk Xin a bit. He is running AP, so if he can get his third hit, he will recover a decent chunk of health. It's not exactly the greatest, but early on it's pretty significant. Especially since you consider I don't have a BF sword yet. I only have the 20 AD from the one longsword and the Vamp Scepter. Now my goal here is just save up enough money to get the BF sword in the event we can't kill them, but if I can kill one of them, then hey, instant BF with the 300 gold. Right here I was contemplating trying to snipe Cog, but it's not reliable. But if you want to see me do a cross-map ult, don't worry, there will be one later on. I'm just not going to tell you when, where, who. Well, where is kind of a giveaway if it's cross-map, but I won't tell you where our positions are. Now, Vi can gank as soon as level 3. There was a chance she could have went from the mid inhibitor turret through the bottom side of the jungle and try to come up behind us. She could also come out through the chicken side and work her way down the river. It's a guessing game as to which way she actually went, but that's what I'm mainly concerned about at the moment. So I use the volley to collect the 3. That should also set up the 1 to be executed. And if you look Ezreal left, I have enough mana for my crystal arrow. He steps out of line. Stun. Volley. GG. So, unfortunately, in my recording right now, I can't see how many Krakens I have since the screen is like a quarter of the size you see. But once I have around 10 or so, that's generally when I like to buy the minion because then I can get the first utility upgrade. So, grabbing the boots, grabbing the BF, going to hire the ranged one, whatever the hell the thing is called. And right there, the first utility. Now I mouse over it so you can see what it does. Right there I have to explain to Xin what's going on with this mode. It's his first time playing it, so I can't fault him for not understanding what's going on here. But I can majorly fault him for screwing up a really easy game by focusing the top lane so heavily. To explain a little bit further, both Lissandra and I have very reliable CC with her Ice Tomb and my Crystal Arrow. If he came mid or bot, it should be a guaranteed kill. But for one reason or another, he just doesn't. But anyway, going back to the ranged minion, for the first upgrade, it will increase the minion's range by 50. I don't know what the base range is, but it can help you a little bit when you're trying to siege, since the minion doesn't have to travel as far to set up. That's the ranged minion right there that Ezreal just killed. And I'm trying to keep eyes on Vi, so I launch the Dove clear across the map. That way we can try to get timers, maybe see her somewhere. So we can see that the golem buff is up, but the red buff is not, which means Vi most likely was moving away from there towards us. In the meantime, I was too busy explaining the way the bird works to explain the Xin Zhao kill, but hopefully it's a little self-explanatory. Pew pew, he died. The end. So right there, Soraka popped Wish. It does manage to turn around the gank on Vi, and the advantage to her doing this is that by getting the assist, she generates an additional Kraken, which in turn makes it easier for her to power up her minion. I don't know what she chose, I imagine it's probably the support one. As for Cog right here, luckily he's focusing Soraka, so I managed to put a few holes in him, but he's going to be a major problem for the first 3/4 of the game. And you can see how fed he is, that he can just take out such large portions of my health with ease. Without a Bloodthirster, I actually can't offset his poke, sadly. And right here, I think I have to burn Flash. Right there's the Equinox sealing Shin's fate. Okay, I flash onto him trying to kill him, but he has heal. I remember that now. So right there, volley. I didn't fire the volley, but you can see he even got the shield from Xin, so there was pretty much nothing I could do. Right here, it's pretty much up to Lissandra to push, and you can see that she's getting ganked by Vi right now, which then raises the question of what is Xin doing? And the short answer is nothing. Now, unfortunately, I don't actually know the Ezreal's rank to explain whether or not he knows what he's doing. It's just, he has Tear and Lucid Boots. The advantage to Tear is just that he can shoot his Q a bit more. It's pretty cost efficient. It's something like 44 mana, I think, at max rank. And with a 1.1 to 1 AD ratio, he actually gets an additional 10% from his AD. Those Qs can add up if you let him poke you. All in all, I'm not really a fan of the Ezreal build. If you ever see the games I've uploaded, I just go Trinity, IE, and from there, I don't know if I go... Well, I don't remember if I always go straight into IE or into Blade of the Rune King, but you can be flexible with Ezreal, and the mana Mune isn't necessary exactly. It's a different type of build, more traditional AD carry, less caster oriented, and just more pain. But for how things currently are, I think he's in the same situation with his support. By now, I should also point out Soraka is off who knows where. If you look, she's turning. She's starting to abandon the bot lane, and that's going to cost us the tower and a kill. So right here I'm watching the mini-map. You can see she's in the river by the Baron Pit. There is Xin. Cog's going to come through the tri-brush, and I can't do anything against the three of them, and I'm trying to ping her. What the hell are you doing when the towers are still standing? We were winning this lane until she wandered off to the middle of who knows where, and right there, that stupid play cost us the bot lane. And her argument is, I got an assist. Yeah, they got a kill in a tower. That beats your assist no matter how you want to look at it. So right here, the sweeper is going to catch Kog'Maw in the corner. You can see him moving into place. And that's it. There's literally nothing I can do because Cog is so fed. And then the fact is there's two of them to just me. At this point, I want to throw in the towel because the Xin is an idiot and Soraka actually isn't that much brighter. You can't actually hear it, but the dragon does die periodically. We lose the first two because he's top. And, like, right now is when Cho realizes, okay, the Xin isn't going to help us, I have to pretty much pick up the jungler slack. And the sad part is I don't even think this guy realized how stupid the choices he's making actually are. So right there I got the second utility upgrade. I think that's attack speed. And the third one is multi-shot or something like that. But it's just those two players are pretty much our biggest obstacle. Yes, Lissandra did die, but she has CC, tons of it. She can easily redeem herself just by becoming a CC bot. As for right here, Xin jumps on me, which is not the smartest thing to do. I can go ahead and pick him off. And from here, I just need to create a little distance to dodge Ezreal, and Cho feasts him before I can kill him with the volley. But you can see, Cog finally does die, Xin finally leaves top lane, and I ping, hey guys, the dragon's up, let's go get that. For Xin, that means, oh, I better go farm top lane. So you can see Cho and I are actually coming down here. And the thing is, we kind of can take this if Cho has Feast, because it's 1,000 true damage base. With AP, it's even higher, and we can actually outsmite Vi with it. But the thing is, there is Vi, and we kind of have to kill her before we can do this, which then poses the dragon in a situation where it could be picked off by an Ezreal ult or something along those lines. So you can see I survive with about 8 hit points. I go ahead and hide in the jungle, and right here I opt to recall just outside of that brush because I figure Ezreal is probably somewhere around the mid lane, somewhere between the inner outer turret. Judging from the angle, he'd shoot the ult would whiz past me, but it would miss me. Because I figure he'd be aiming for the dragon pit, trying to secure it. And right here you can see what I mean by Xin is so freaking worthless. Here I'm actually looking at his inventory. He built warrior of all things. The worst part about all that is he's not actually building tanky, so he won't survive a skirmish. He could have gone Cinderhulk just for durability purposes. He could have went Devourer, so he has attack speed, therefore more heals. That helps him survive in a prolonged fight. Warrior makes him poke a bit harder, but it's not long-term feasible. Since I can't rely on anyone to do the dragon, I just say screw it. I'm heading over here. Janna ults, I ult. Unfortunately for her, I was far enough away for that to be a 3-second stun. Cho burns the feast there, but luckily Xin actually turned around to help us get Cog. And right here, I'm just trying to kill minions as fast as possible for lifesteal purposes in case the suicide bomb came my way. Luckily, that was not the case. Cho teleports into the dragon to dissuade them, but we're still not going to get it. Like, even after all this, we just killed two of them. They're solo laners. The really fed guy, Xin goes back top. So the enemy Xin is serving as spotter. There's the true shot barrage, and that's the end of the dragon. Sure, Cho retaliates by killing Xin, but there's no reason they should have had that. Anyway, right here you can see our composition. We have a lot of ranged guys, more than actually necessary, and it's a little debilitating for us in the long term. Meanwhile, I fire the volley over the wall to secure an assist on Ezreal. It will get me a little bit of extra gold, but the most important thing is that's going to give me an extra Kraken, so I can start powering up these minions even more. With so many ranged ones, we have to definitely play to the siege. The good news is, it looks like we have at least one tanky one. We're missing the Razorfin, so we have that working to our advantage. Right now, I'm thinking that the enemy team actually has the ideal setup for this. You probably want two tanky ones so that they can resist turret fire, things along those lines. One Razorfin to seek out and destroy the enemy champions, one of the ranged ones because they're annoying as hell, and then the support one just to make it a little bit more tricky to pick one of them off. So right here I'm trying to ping to Soraka on the fountain, hey, get down here, you're the freaking support, why don't you try supporting? And it's actually Cho that's going to respond to the call. So right there I'm going to poke him down a bit, I fire my volley, or my crystal arrow, then that sets me up to get my 5th stack, and therefore Ranger's focus will just shred him even through his archangels. The other thing about Archangels is that the way it works, the active shield is based off of how much mana the caster has at the time. So if you can get him to fire off a few spells beforehand, that means a weaker shield. Cog played in my hand there, but that's not going to happen too often, sadly. Anyway, I go for the Brawler's Glove here because it's an additional 8% damage on my crits. At my current AD, I'm saying at approximately 200, it looks like on my screen, so that's an additional 2 damage. Or wait, I'm doing this wrong. It'd be about 17 to 18 damage, depending on what that actual last number is. The good news is, with the Ranger's focus, it kind of can add up, since I think every shot is something like a mini crit, even smaller than normal. You might be able to get an additional 3 or 4 damage per shot, and she fires 4, I think? Maybe 5. And then it's just the surge of attack speed. Anyway, right here, Cho decides to tank the turret. I don't really know why, since we definitely need him up just in case Cog arrives. I think Cog actually does, to be honest. But between the three of us, we can actually take this somewhat securely. I launch the bird over there, and lo and behold, there is Cog. So he goes ahead and kills Soraka, Cho gets the tower, and right here, the two of us need to make our escape. So Vi ends up eating the volley, she eats the rupture, and basically I'm just going to fall back, keep firing the volley behind me to slow them. There was the crystal arrow just to keep Cog out of it, since he's the real annoying one. Right there we got his flash, we got him to eat a rupture. And Cho'Gath has one of the new items in the game, which you'll see right here. Sadly, when I fired that arrow, that kind of told them which one Cho is. While he looks like me, he actually doesn't have my stats or anything. He actually has the same health that he used to have, which is why Cog was able to kill him that easily. As for Lissandra right there, I was kind of hoping she had Azonia's or her ult up to save herself, but I think she used the ult to kill Cog. So at long last, we finally will have Soraka around us, I think. Xin is pushing down the mid. Once again, he's just not with us. The thing is, he wasn't even forced into jungle. As for right here, I want to get the final utility upgrade, so I'm going to wait on Fountain for the last Kraken. It happens on the minute, so if you look, right there is minute 25, therefore I got my 20th coin, and now I have the multi-shot on my minions. Soraka gets Xin, I fired my arrow, it's going to hit Janna. So once again, she ults, I ult, and she's basically denied her Monsoon. As AD Janna, it's not actually a big heal. She's pretty much relying it solely on the base. But it's still an annoyance, which is now out of the way, courtesy of Cho'Gath. So, lo and behold, Xin is back top. It's time for the dragon, and like nothing gets through to the guy, just to be honest. I don't know. I probably should have looked and see what rank he is, because it's really bad. This is kind of what I would expect to see in bronze, to be perfectly honest. We have complete control of the area. We have the poke advantage on them with my volleys, pretty much. A little bit of Lissandra. We can kind of run Cog and since we have control of their blue buff, it's not like he can actually fire indefinitely. Speaking of the blue buff, we are going to steal that momentarily. But right here, it's just keep them away from the dragon pit until Xin finally gets his head out of his ass. The guy's stupidity is just unreal. Anyway, right there, volley for harass. Cho feasts it, and then I pick it off with the Q to give me the blue buff. That in turn will lower my volley cooldown. I can just basically shoot that over my shoulder. Like that. And with my 5 stacks, I can make little work of Vi. I can Crystal Arrow Ezreal and pick him off too. And now Xin has finally realized, okay, maybe I should actually do my freaking job. So with our first dragon, that gives us a surge of AD and AP. It's just a meager 6%, but since I already have the IE, that's still a little bit more. It's in turn going to empower my crits a bit more, and therefore I should be a little bit deadlier in skirmishes. In the meantime, I go ahead and help myself to the 1 chicken, because every large camp you counter jungle is worth 1 kraken, which allows you to upgrade minions. Right here I'm stealing the red buff for the exact same reason. And this one I actually do want to clear so we get the timer on it. And it's long enough to where it won't actually hurt Vi to take it. To put things into context, the chickens are one of the camps that are more often taken. As a result, by leaving one of those up, that will set her back somewhat. And I'm also going to take the golems. I don't remember if I take all of them or what. But right there, it's just Cog's poke is that unreal since he got fed. Pretty much with that one combo, he did repel the siege. Yeah, I probably should have left one of the small ones up. Then again, with Soraka recalling right there, she probably would have been hit. Anyway, I have enough gold now for the Phantom Dancer. I went ahead and bought 2 offensive upgrades, so my ranged minions have an additional 20 damage on their autos. And we just gotta try to whittle them down from here. Grab the pickaxe, become a Last Whisper. I was kind of torn on whether or not I just wanted to get a BF sword and go straight into Bloodthirster. The advantage of the Bloodthirster would be more lifesteal, the shield. It'd help me deal with Cog. But there are other ways around him, which you'll see momentarily when we fight in the jungle. Right there I'm actually looking at Cho's item, the mirror that allows you to turn into a copy of someone. Like a lot of other people, I definitely agree that this feels like some sort of experimental item workshop, rather than an actual game mode with all these items in the game. Depending on the feedback for some of these, I wouldn't be surprised if we happen to see them in the main mode. That mirror is probably one of the ones that could make the jump. So right here I use the volley to slow Vi to dissuade her from chasing Lissandra. Soraka is horribly, horribly out of position and somehow is shocked she dies here when she totally had that coming. And here comes Cho. I don't know if he has teleport boots or just the teleport summoner spell, but now the three carries are kind of gathered. Xin takes out Janna. Dies to Cog, of all people, giving him a shutdown bonus so he gets even further ahead in terms of build. And here I just opt to go push the bot because there's nothing we can do with two of our guys dead. We killed Janna, yes, but their most dangerous guy is still up. We should just peace out. I have enough for the last whisper, and here it comes. The arrow has been fired. Poor, poor Vi. At this distance, it is a 3-second stun, which was the death of her. For you, Alvender. But as I was saying, I have enough money for the last whisper now. The thing that I want to get also while I'm back is just... I don't think I go for distortion boots yet. What do I go for? Maybe I do go distortions on the next back. But if you look, there is Cog, and here is going to be our duel. This time I don't have the crystal arrow to win it for me. I fire the volley just to try to dissuade him. I figure I'll walk away now, but Soraka decides to go back in. Because why not? So there goes most of her health. I believe she has to flash here or something. No, she's forced to ult. So I didn't know where Cog was moving, and right here we have to have our showdown. So I burn heal to just give me a surge of HP, and I flash forward so that I can dodge his living artillery. And if not for Xin Zhao right here, I would have survived because I could have just started whacking the blue buff for lifesteal. Would have healed me enough to withstand the Ecathian Surprise. That's the name of the move. But still, we managed to get two of them for just me. The key thing being one of them is their really fed guy. I wanted an upgrade trinket, I guess? No, I did want distortions, okay. And the whole reason for the distortions is just so I can flash. That way I can either close the gap on Cog or something. Because our success pretty much comes down to us blowing him up in one way or another, be it an ice tomb or a crystal arrow. Hopefully that ping didn't pop up in here, but I really wouldn't be surprised. And time for the next dragon has come up. Luckily Xin was somewhat in the area. We just need to hope he doesn't wander off. And sadly in this game that's actually a serious concern. So the dragon has spawned at last. You can see that enemies are closing in. I figured I'd sit in the brush to try to get Vi to go aggressive and then catch her, but she backed off. It's no fun, I know. Once it's pretty secure that Xin has that, I can just turn and focus Vi. The enemy Xin decided to be a hero, so he has to pay the price. Meanwhile, the Vi goes down. My crystal arrow is down, but it's 5 of us to 3 of them. We should be able to poke them out. And speaking of which, I'm going to catch Cog with his guard down here. So the important thing to note is where I'm standing. I'm going to drop a ward over the wall in a second. Cog can't see me, that's the important thing. Okay, I just started open fire on him. Just like that, I got to blow him away, and I can run away before his Ecathian Surprise does any damage to me. With him out of the way, it's pretty much our inhibitor. There's nothing that the enemy can do to contest it. If Ezreal shows up like that, he's just going to get blown up. And if Sandra didn't hit her Zonias, I think we would have killed him. Keynote, I have a red buff right now, which is really bad news for Vi. Because if I land one auto, like that one, she's dead. There's actually no way out of this for her unless she can charge up her Q or get someone else to interrupt me. Cho does secure the kill, but right there you can see what would have happened to her. It's just Xin instead. Once I got my 5 stacks, I would have popped Q and she would have shredded. And this is the end of the game. Black Market Brawlers, Ashe with a team from Hell. Well, a jungler and support from Hell. Like, right there, they're asking me why I wanted to surrender. We had a freaking top lane jungle Xin. That should be self-explanatory. Anyway, that's it. I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.